Hello, folks, and welcome back to Equity TV. We have another guest on right now who's involved with the matriculation process. Her name is Dr. Goldstein. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning.
Now, I talked to you once about getting actually closed captioning, but you do a lot of things for the college. Why don't you tell us what your title is?
Right. So I am the Director of Disabled Students Programs and Services at Bakersfield College. And so we provide a range of services to students with any type of physical, learning, or psychological disability.
And how do you come to find out that a student needs those services?
It's a voluntary program, so students need to learn about us and come to us to request the services.
Okay. All right. So what if someone is just having difficulty studying or difficulty with education in general? Would you be a first stop for them? Because we had Jeremy Stott on last week, and he told us that he didn't find out he was learning disabled until he came to BC.
Right, and that is something that we definitely do. So if you're having problems with taking tests, so you have test anxiety issues.
Like you've prepared, you've studied, you feel like.
And you get in there and all of a sudden you blank out, then this might be a place for you. If you are military, which is what we're talking about today,
absolutely,
and you have any service connection, any at all, so and that means a service-connected disability. So it can be any percentage. We don't care as long as it's documented. Then you can come to the office and we can help you with services.
And Dr. Goldstein, what kind of services are those?
So once you get hooked up with the office, let's say you're somebody who has PTSD maybe, and maybe you have intrusive thoughts when you're trying to study. It's very difficult to remember what it is that you're studying. You find yourself rereading the same passage over and over again. That might be something that you come to Disabled Student Services, and what we can do is we can provide for you books in an alternative format. So we provide you books in an electronic format, and then you can use a computer program to read that book to you. And we find that for some students who have post-traumatic stress, that have a traumatic brain injury, learning disabilities, attention deficit disorder, that if you put a headset on and you're listening to your book while you're reading it, that you get it that much faster and it sticks a lot better. And that's one of the big services that we can provide.
Right, and just to reassure students from research I've done, and clearly you can elaborate on this, that doesn't make someone unintelligent or dumb or anything else they may have been caused by an insensitive lug in the past. People learn different ways.
Absolutely. And the same thing with the testing accommodations. Is that something where if you find yourself, when we started talking about that, and you get into the testing environment and you sort of blank out, then that might be an environment to take you out of that actual classroom environment. We find if we take you out of that testing environment, put you into a different environment, even though other people are in there taking tests, they're not taking the same test, give you extra time, that quiet location, and then we find that, again, the scores go up a lot.
Right, and I had a friend tell me he was reticent to accept that help because he felt it gave him an advantage over other students, and I said, no, because other students aren't dealing with what you're dealing with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a good point to bring up is also that when you get registered with Disabled Students Programs and Services, it does not go anywhere beyond our office doors.
Okay, so when they enroll for a class, they're not going to have a red X next to their name to the professor.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
we don't tell the professors unless you want us to tell the professors, or unless you tell your professors. It's not anything that's written on a transcript. So there's no way for this to follow you. People are afraid that it's going to follow them to their career and that it will hurt them. But really, there's no way that it can unless you want it to follow you.
Well, right, exactly. And most people want to move on, and by the time they get done at Bakersfield College, they might have just a different opinion of themselves. They might not factor that into how they describe themselves when they meet someone, or even how they perceive themselves, right?
Right.
Because we're on the path here of giving them some successes and building them up. They're not going to leave here worse for the wear. I mean, we hope not anyway. That's why you're here. Dr. Goldstein, what else is available to help folks?
So another thing that we have to offer that student veterans take advantage of are our special classes. So we have adapted PE classes. So let's say you have a physical injury and you still want to work out and you don't quite know how to do that without re-injuring yourself. Well, the professor is specially trained to work with you to help you to strengthen what you can strengthen and not re-injure yourself. So that's one of our special classes.
Well, we have an amazing aquatics facility in the Gil Bishop Sports Center. I mean, that is a beautiful pool, and that there's just a lot of stuff for people to use. So not surprised to hear that.
Right. So we have the adapted PE as one of our special classes. And then another special class is technology for people with disabilities. So what I was describing about like the computer program that would read what's on the computer screen back to you. Or there's also programs where you wear a headset and you talk into the computer and the computer will type for you what it is that you say. All of these are different types of technologies that exist for people with disabilities. And so we have classes that students can take to learn how to use this special technology.
I got to tell you, this help that you're giving students, it sounds, first of all, like it's out of the future. And second of all, it sounds like this is something everybody's going to use in the future. I mean, you're really giving some interesting and advanced help here.
Oh, yeah. When you think about your cell phone
Yeah.
and the type of equipment that exists on your cell phone, a lot of it started out as assistive technology for people with disabilities, and it's just morphed into the general population. And so I see the technology as not assistive technology for people with disabilities, but technology for work and for learning.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
something that a lot of people can benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, almost everything you've mentioned so far is stuff that I wish I could take advantage of. I don't take tests anymore, but yeah, it'd be nice when I was driving or when I was exercising if I could listen to study materials.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the dictation thing, I mean, that's like having an electronic secretary pretty much.
So another service that we provide is, let's say you find yourself spacing out in class
Okay.
and missing a lot on your notes, is that we can provide assistance by having someone in the class take notes for you. And we provide special paper that they write on the paper, and it's two copies. And so they take notes, and at the end of class, tear apart the two sheets, and you each get a copy.
Oh, wow.
So that is something else that we can provide. And let's say somebody is so severely disabled that they can't write for themselves, then we actually would hire a scribe to go into the classroom, and they would then do whatever writing is necessary for you. So not just taking notes, but writing on exams and things like that as well.
Dr. Goldstein, I got to say I'm really impressed. I'm very shocked because it seems like there is really almost no disability or special circumstance that you're not ready to do battle against and navigate.
Well, another service that some of our veterans might take advantage of, because veterans typically, depending upon their MOS, might have hearing loss.
And you know enough jargon. You're ready to deal with veterans. You're ready to help them out.
I am. I know enough jargon to get me in trouble. Let's just put it that way. But depending upon, what their military job was, some veterans come back with hearing loss. And so it's difficult to pay attention in the class if you're missing a lot of what's being said.
Oh, yeah.
And so what we do is we would provide not a sign language interpreter, because that wouldn't be good. If you were to become deaf today, putting a sign language interpreter in the classroom wouldn't help you because you don't know sign language.
Right, yeah,
so what
right.
we do is we put in what's called computer-aided real-time translation, or CART services. And that's somebody that's on one of those court stenographers' machines that is linked up to a laptop, and they sit there and type during class, and then it comes up verbatim what's being said in class on the screen. And so that's how we would accommodate somebody who is what we refer to as being late deafened.
Okay. So, right, this is not a native condition to them, and that does happen. I have to tell you, the other thing that's occurring to me is I don't know if there's a better institution or a better place for our veterans to go right out of the military. We are really prepared to receive them at BC.
Absolutely.
I mean, why would they go? Wow, this is tremendous and very helpful. How do they get in touch with your office?
Okay, to get in touch with our office, we are located in the counseling suite,
Okay.
which is SS 40.
Okay, and that's right there in the middle of campus, right?
In the middle of campus.
Sure. Okay.
And so it's the same again as it's the counseling suite. So you just come on in there and tell them that you want to get hooked up with disabled students, or DSPS is what we're called. And they will give the person some papers. It's not a lot, just a half sheet that you need to fill out and a form that you need to sign off on so we can get your documentation. You can either bring in documentation or we can send away for it. Either way, come on in and meet with a counselor, and that's all there is to it. So it's a very easy process to get hooked up with us.
Wow, and you're not going to make them fill out a bunch of forms. You are going to help them right out of the gate.
Right.
Outstanding. And of course, better check in with Tina first. And these are all things that Tina Mendoza can direct our veterans to. But Doctor, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'd love to stop by and see this firsthand. It sounds like you guys are operating in the future over there. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we're going to talk to another amazing person in this chain of care that we've put together for our veterans as they enter the waters of education to improve their lives. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Equity TV.